Let's see here.
Can we?
I'll stop. That's a filthy lie.
Oh, there we are. I think we're. Seems like we're back now.
Alright. Yes, I do believe we are back. Oh man, that was a oopsie poopsie on my part. We actually announced a new link on Twitter, or I mean X, because it's X now. And then I'll explain what happened.
Yes is good.
And of course I have to put it in a reply post, the actual link, because algorithms are garbage.
That's
that should
dumb.
do it. Yeah, it's pretty dumb. But if you put a link as like the main tweet, like nobody will see it. You have to like
That's hilarious.
you have to like do like a thumbnail image. Yeah, people like images, or at least the algorithm likes images. And then you do like, okay, the link's down below, just so you guys know.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Bolt Mouse. Yes. Curse you, World 3. Yeah, exactly. Wiley's back at it again.
Yeah. So
We
what
thought
happened is
he died. You know, 6.
what happened is World 3 hacked my internet. They saw that we're preserving some games, and they don't like that. So they got hired to stop us. It's crazy.
I just noticed, what was it in the chat? Adachi Cabbage. That's a Persona 4 reference. I like that. It's also...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, that's actually one of the other games where we would really like to find is Persona 3 Ida's Mission, which is like a... I think it's like a prequel of some kind, a connection to the Persona 3 game. And you get to play as Igus, and you get to run around their story and stuff, and it's just... Now we can dump it, but we just need to find someone who has it. If someone still has it. Just wanted to throw that out there.
All right, let's see. Man, I wish the stream replay for the other one showed the questions because I know there are quite a few people who had questions.
I believe...
Let me see.
There's a way. Oh, come on.
I don't. Yeah, I think YouTube takes forever to like process this stuff.
You know what? Let me see if this works. No.
Oh, now I see the comment you were talking about. Good stream.
Good stream. Good stream. Thank you, Barrett. Barrett? Or I'm gonna say Barrett. Well, anyway.
Yeah, so unfortunately I lost everybody's questions, for now at least.
Oh wait, Naya, you remember like one guy asked if we're hobbyists or if we're engineers, etc., right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'll go first. I'm more of a hobbyist, and for these for the background, I can figure stuff out really quickly when it comes to technology, but I am studying Python, C++, Java, and just helping out on digging out any information I can possibly can about these phones, or find anyone else who has these games. So that's my background.
Yeah, I'm also kind of a hobbyist too. Like the nitty-gritty technical work that's really done by like the other people on the team, like Good Tofu Friday and Zur, and then you got username AK, and then you got Craze. He's our team member who does a lot of like taking apart the phones, like just literally ripping them apart. like I actually wrote I wrote this article I can put in the chat, and it has like the Mega Man games inside it, but I put in the chat just now. In there's some pictures of him ripping apart these other phones, and oh my god, like the pictures are disgusting. Like all the cords and stuff in there. So yeah, those team members really are the ones that do a lot of the hands-on work. Like I've dumped some of my own phone collection myself with a modified debug cable, but I'm not a person who really is like a deeply technical kind of guy. I would just say
That right there, I believe when someone showed us that it was possible to dump a Docomo phone with the eMMC method, that was actually the beginning of KT Dumper, because the person who developed the KT Dumper script took the dump of the contents of the P-01F and then compared it to the test points and the information he found on his P-01F, compared it, and then that's what began KT Dumper, and that's how everyone just slowly added more phones, and then XYZ started looking at the information that we would all send him, and then slowly, little by little, that's how KT Dumper just became able to do this.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more accessible. You know, even people like me who don't really, you know, I can't take apart a phone and solder the stuff. I don't have the equipment, but with that modified cable, it's so much more accessible. So yeah, basically, yeah, we're hobbyists. I see that DJ Castle. I just saw him in the chat there. Yeah, we're answering your question right now. Yeah, we're hobbyists. So we don't have engineering degrees. At least I don't have an engineering degree.
I would like to answer Adachi Cabbage's question about, is there any other projects you would like to do in the future, or would like to do but are difficult right now? And I'm assuming that's about game preservation. If it's about game preservation, I think that's what Adachi's referring to, right?
Sure. Yeah, he said yes.
Well, okay. Well, the one I've been after for about 3 years is seeing Before Crisis getting dumped, and after hearing about the Professor Layton games, I would like to get those preserved as well. And then also the helping out with the Persona IGES mission one, because that and a Persona mobile online game, which I would love to see if someone somehow has, because it's literally an online Persona game for your cell phone.
Yeah.
But no footage of it. Well, I haven't seen footage of it, because I've met people who have. I know someone who has footage of Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII that to this day none of us have ever seen, and he's just kind of gatekeeping it, which is it is what it is. But if anything, for all we know, someone out there could have the rest of the IMO games that we want. We just sadly have to wait for them to be convinced of, okay, we'll help you with this.
Yeah, that's half the battle right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
I see a question from this person named Jonathan A. Nice car profile pic. What is your guys' favorite game out of the 9 you've preserved?
Phantom Network, for sure.
Oh wow, that was a fast answer. Phantom Network for you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. On that day on Christmas, when I saw that they dropped the info like, oh, here's the content of the P06C, I was like, oh heck yes.
Yeah,
because it was a full game.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. That's probably mine as well. Probably Phantom Network. I mean, Five Islands was also a dream come true, and also up there is Rockman Tennis. Like, I'm kind of a tennis guy, like IRL. So, I was really enthused to finally be able to play Rockman Tennis. But next up is Rockman Dash Golf. If I had to have another one, so maybe in the future we'll get that one too. But yeah, probably those ones: Phantom Network and Rockman Tennis.
Yeah, I'm most excited about the EXE games myself. It's really nice to have these lost entries in that series. It's kind of like, you know, it's like having a new Bound game in a sense of a word.
Really I see. Adachi Cabbage says, "Oh, tennis guy IRL." Yeah, that just means that I just like watching tennis and playing tennis. That's all.
I have a question myself, actually. You guys both said Phantom specifically. Is there like a reason why you guys say Phantom and not Legend, or do you guys like lump the two together?
For me, it's just because I've seen what it is, and I like the idea. I just like what it is. It's just very appealing. I like the idea of a Rockman EXE, Battle Network game on the phone. I just like the Phantom Network. Nothing specific.
For me, I guess it's just both of them. I think Phantom. Wait, does Cosmo sound like Mega Quint? Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe we're the same
I
person.
Hear
who
it,
knows?
Kind of.
Mega Quint? I gotta look that up.
But yeah. So I think it's because I played Phantom Network first. I think that's just the main reason why it's stronger to me. But at the same time, I haven't really played through much of Legend of Network. Things have just gotten so busy. It's just like I haven't really gotten a chance to try that one out yet. So I don't know. I want to try that one out sometime as well, because I know that's kind of like these two games are already obscure, but I feel like Legend of Network's even more obscure because like its wiki page especially is like totally barren. So I do want to give that one a try. And plus, Ride-Man, he's just cool. I mean, come on. I want to fight a cowboy.
I know, right?
And let's see. What else?
Let's see here. Man, so we're answered. We got like the new questions here for the most part.
Oh yeah, we see somebody's. Oh, here we go. For Alexander Sevilla says, "Oh, how do you think about Prometheus as Death from Puss in Boots and Mega Man ZX?"
Wait, what?
Oh, nothing. It's just I'm reading off a question.
No, I mean, no, I heard the question, but wait, Boots and Boots is in Mega Man?
Is he?
I don't know.
That would be news to me.
No,
Mega Man ZX?
I think it's just like I think Prometheus is a character from Mega Man ZX. I mean, I think it's an interesting concept, but yeah, I'm not familiar enough with the movie. I think to say.
Maybe Alexander's referring to a meme. I know like Death is like one of the characters in the recent Puss in Boots film. And I did see like the clip that he's in. He's pretty scary. Definitely very scary.
Oh.
Here we go. I see a question.
I'm curious. Ahead, yeah. I'm curious about this one. Do you have an end goal, or is there ever a time you foresee being done with your work? Ooh. Ideally, I would love to be able to play these Docomo Java games on either on my Android flip phone or on an actual Docomo flip phone hardware, because I think it would make a really cool, authentic experience. Plus, I could play the games wherever I go. And then one of the biggest projects I would love to finish is to be able to make Before Crisis playable. That would be that's one goal I have. Having trouble filling that goal.
Yeah, for me, my end goal. I mean, the whole like the Scilab Secrets team, like our focus is on the Mega Man games, but it's like over these past 3 years, we've been able to establish like a ton of connections to other people who are preserving a bunch of other non-Mega Man games, even to the the Game Preservation Society in Japan, which is like a Japanese game preservation organization. Even then, we've been able to establish some connections with them as well. So it's almost like over time this expands beyond Mega Man for me. But it's not like I'm gonna stop looking at these Mega Man games. I mean, we only have the 5th chapter of 5 Islands, you know. And actually, before the stream crashed, I think I was explaining how we got 5 Islands, right? I was talking about brute forcing stuff. So if you don't mind, maybe I could quickly finish that up.
Hey, go for it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think I was saying that we had like the device key that took Good Tofu Friday about 20 days to brute force, and then we had the S box, and then we were able to get a device unique key, and that got us Rockman Tennis, which was on the SD card, as well as the 5th chapter of 5 Islands, which was also on that part of the SD card. But basically, Rockman Tennis, it did make gaming history in that it was the first ever like Docomo game to be decrypted off an SD card. It was the first one. And that was a major accomplishment because there are quite a few other games that are like moved to SD card and they're encrypted. And now our team has proved that yes, they can be decrypted. But there's a bit of an issue here because they'd be saying, well, Cosmo, you decrypted Rockman Tennis, but where is 5 Islands? Isn't that on the SD card? And that's where we get to another weird technicality. It turns out that this bind ID that we got, it's actually per SVC folder. And that's another way of saying that it's per application that owns the game files. So, for example, the 5th chapter of 5 Islands was present in the same SVC folder that also had Rockman Tennis. So that was decrypted, and then now we have that. But the rest of 5 Islands chapters are in a different SVC folder because there are additional data that's owned by the 5 Islands game and not by actually the phone system. So as such, that bind ID is going to have to be derived by a separate brute forcing of that SVC folder's device unique key. So basically, we got one more brute forcing round to go, and like it took us only 4 days last time, but username AK, the one who developed the tool along with Zur, the other team member, he wants to refine that tool because before it was really like we were kind of going on the edge of just not having it work because basically we were comparing, we were brute forcing against 16 bits with sorry. All right, now my mind's going. Hold on a second. The tool was the brute forcing tool for the device unique key was prone to false positives because it's brute forcing against exactly 56 bits of known plaintext with a 56-bit key. So because of that, there's very little like margin of error. Like you can get a lot of false positives and false keys, and that's kind of what happened with us. We got one key and it was a false positive. And we had to run the we had to run the tool again. So luckily, we were able to find that bind ID to get Rockman Tennis, but now we want to run that brute forcing again for the rest of the 5 Islands files. We're going to have to refine that tool so we don't run into false positives and things like that. So right now, we're kind of busy doing that, and then once we're able to get it refined enough, then we'll run it again, and we'll have, I'm 99% certain we're going to have the rest of 5 Islands, and like, I don't know, maybe by the end of this month or next month.
So, like, are the rest of the chapters in, like, one SBC folder, or are they spread out across?
Just one more SVC folder, because it's per application that owns the games. So 5 Islands kind of owns the rest of the additional data, basically. So that's on its own folder.
That's nice. Oh yeah, there was a thing I forgot to say before the stream crashed. But a while ago, you were talking about the struggles and how, yeah, you guys are pioneers in this field, and it is like pretty demotivating to like be like 2 years in or 3 years in and not have anything. It reminded me of, I was watching like cold case files recently, and a lot of times like cases that go cold, they don't get solved until like, you know, years later or even decades later, because technology just wasn't there yet. Like DNA testing had to get better and things like that. So it's kind of like the same thing here. Like we just had to get more people involved and kind of work on the technology until it was good enough to be able to get to this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it for projects like these, it can get a little discouraging, mainly because when you keep meeting people who have the game, and you see how these companies act with only rebooting, remaking games, and just slowly, little by little over time, you get this like, oh, the game companies don't care about the lost games; they care more about nostalgia and everything, sometimes it gets in, especially with a game like, I want to say Before Crisis, because even though that game's a full-fledged game, that game still rarely ever never gets taught. And then you find some people who do have the game, but then they're like, nah, I don't want to help save the game. It can get a little discouraging at first, but eventually you'll find it. I will say eventually you find the game you want.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Rico Syndrome says, "Welcome back. Hope you're well with all that's happened." Yeah, definitely a lot better now. Yeah, I got my main mic back. For anyone who isn't up to date on my situation, in December we got my stuff back from Florida over to Texas, so I have access to all my stuff again. Some of it's still, actually most of it's still in storage, but I got like everything I need out of there. So that's really cool. Definitely you guys like helping out with the streams, like when we did that fundraiser marathon and all the other help with TGP's frog bins and everything. It definitely helped a lot, like making that possible as fast as it did. So sincerely thank you all for the support with that and everything. You know the thing about me, so let's try to find another question for you guys.
I saw one. Oh, what was it? Comic Sans says these guys did excellent work. Great contribution to game preservation. Thank you for that comment. We appreciate that.
Definitely.
Well, let's see. Oh, here's this one. I wanted to answer this one. Alexander asks, could there be a way to get these games on Android? There's ways. It depends. As of now, it just depends on how much work someone's willing to put in to make these games work on Android. Like you could decompile and then port it to Android Java, or you could wait until someone adds Doja support to an emulator. For example, actually, J2ME Loader, one of the really well-known emulators out there for Android that can emulate J2ME games, someone is working on adding Doja support to it. So hopefully that person is able to succeed in doing that. I forget the name exactly. I think it's Torrenia who's working on it. So that's nice. And then Surge got their emulator in the works. So
well, speaking of Zur,
oh yes,
they're in the chat actually. Under
really?
the name yeah, there they are.
Oh,
Stephanie oh no, I'm gonna butcher this. I'm so sorry. Gawariski. Oh man, so terrible.
Now you guys know how I feel, and I have to pronounce some of your names.
Come on, it's just Cosmo's easy.
Yeah, yours is easy.
Gaworski. There we go. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they're awesome. They're the ones that developed the Squirrel JME Java Virtual Machine. So yeah, they're awesome team member. So I'm happy to see them that they've joined us.
Oh, okay, and then I gotta make sure I don't lose my transfer. Let's see if there's another question mark. Awesome. Yes, plug in awesome. Put on Android phone. I'm trying to find a question here.
Mega Man Zero says, what would you say was the biggest issue of getting these games to work without many errors or crashes?
Oh wait, hold on. Oh, okay. What would you say was the biggest issue of getting these? Oh yeah. Actually, Cosmos, you might be able to answer it. Like what Memory Hunter does to the games when we get them off the phone. Like we have to modify some headers and stuff so that it disables the security checks.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, you gotta hack. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you pretty much just summarized it right there. Like Five Islands is actually a really good example. Like when they first got Five Islands off of there and they try to put in the emulator, what happened? Oh, you need to load in data from SD card, and you also need to have it's like kind of like an online subscription check basically. And then you couldn't access the game because there is no online subscription check. So basically they had to go into the game files and kind of just do some little hacking work to get rid of that check, because otherwise it's basically kind of like a wall. You got to get rid of that wall, and then you can access the rest of the game. So I think Five Islands had that check, and I think one more game had it too. I forgot which game it was though. I think it was Rockman GP, the racing game. I think that also had a subscription check that had to be that had to be getting rid of.
Oh.
So,
And then the EXE games had like a paywall check.
yeah, exactly. But that wasn't like, I think that was imposed by the phone itself, and not really like, I guess the
Okay, so you didn't have
program.
to do,
Like, yeah,
you didn't have to do any hacking work there.
yeah, it wasn't hard coded into the game. Or at least
There's
for the
it's
EXE
just
games.
there's something about like a little bit of context of how these phones work. Like if anyone's ever owned a J2ME, a Western J2ME phone, you could send games to it via Bluetooth, and it'll install the game, or you could download via web browser. But for the Docomo phones, they have the only way you can put iApply or games on it is by the iMode web browser, and it's something that the iMode web browser does to these games that it does something different to it. So that's why we have to go through all this, through some of this modification, paywall remove stuff, mainly just because of what the phone does to the game when it downloads it.
Got a question from Comic Sans. How long are these games? And I think it really varies with each one.
These games, they're if anything, they have the design of they're like you could play them for what, I don't know how to put it. I'm gonna try to put it in this way. It's more like it's something you could play when you're on the train. So like, let's say if you're on a train, you're on a bus, you're going to work, and there's something you could just pull out and play, and then if your trip or travel is short, then you can easily save and then pick off where you left off from that point. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like most of these are like little mini games that you can, play on the go, entertain yourself. Where it gets different is like with the EXE games and Rockman Five Islands. Those are like full-on adventures, like basically lost entries in those series. So
yeah, the EXE games are a bit. I guess having played all the way to the end of. Well, I actually have not beaten Phantom Network. I'm really close to the final boss, and then I got really busy, so I couldn't beat the rest of it. But I'm probably gonna do it eventually. But the way that game is set up is basically you got two missions. One's just like a regular mission, like just just do this little fetch quest or whatever. And then there's the story, like a story heavy mission, and that always ends in a chapter boss, whether that be Fireman or Hatman or Jamming Man. It's always just going to be like just a boss, a chapter boss. So basically that's kind of the formula it goes with, which is very much a condensed form of a regular Battle Network story. But at the same time, there's also job requests. I think, I forget where you can find them. I think the government area, they got some job requests that you can do, and it changes, I believe, with every chapter too. They add some on there and everything, and also the maps as well, like the blue, the data that you pick up, the blue mystery data. That also changes between chapters. It's weird because I remember going through like the first internet area and picking those up, and then I go back again in the next chapter, and all of a sudden, whoa, why is this data all of a sudden in front of me? So that means they have little minor changes to the maps, I guess, between chapters. But yeah, it's very much a condensed, smaller version of a Battle Network game. I don't know how, I can't quantify how many hours it'd take to beat the whole thing, but it's pretty sizable for a cell phone game. And then for Five Islands, that's also pretty big as well, I think, because these are all just maps with secrets and treasure chests and everything. So it really is like they just took the console games, or in the Battle Network games sense, the GBA games, they just squished them onto a cell phone. And for 5 islands, it kind of hurts it. Well, with the controls at least, as you can see in the video, I'm kind of struggling with ice physics plus flip phone
Yeah.
controls. But you can fix it where with like DS4 Windows or Joy-2 key, you can map the keyboard to a controller, and it's much more comfortable to play it that way.
I'm just impressed they got it to fit on these phones at all.
Yeah, I think it kind of fits in with the Jonathan A question of have any of the games you preserved truly impressed you with how high quality or how much thought? Yeah, 100%. The
Oh.
Battle Network games, that's like just the battle system, you know? That just shocks me how it's just one-to-one basically. Like all the little things I do in the GBA games, little strategies, even like the guard battle chip. That takes some timing to work, but it's like it just feels like I'm playing, you know,
Yeah, it feels
the
like
GBA games all over again.
Like the only thing you're really missing is like the isotopic camera angle and the cyber worlds and the real world overworld aspect. That's basically it.
For the for an answer to Jonathan A's question, from what I've seen with how Kingdom Hearts coded, Persona Aegis mission, Before Crisis, the Rockman games, yes, the quality of those have really impressed me. The fact that they are for cell phones at all, it just truly impressed me. Plus, the gameplay they offer is just really amazing. Oh, and then Mega Man Zero is asking you a question, Cosmo.
Was there a time where you started doubting this whole project? Like told yourself I should move on to something else. This is costing too much energy. Yeah, that happened a lot. Yeah, especially during the early stages. Like as time progressed, I think I just became more confident in the project. You know, confident that we can do this. But there were some doubts in the beginning, and on my side too. Like I really kind of got too much into it at times. Like I really overworked myself. You know, like I contact a lot of people. You know, like some people I contact are rude. You know, and then it's just kind of like, you know, it's just I really did put everything into the project. I think I said it somewhere on Twitter. Like I poured every single thing I could into this, and it didn't. I think at some points it was a little too much. You know, like just. Oh, I actually, when the games were released, like there was a lot of stuff I had to do. Like I had to write the article. I had to like just kind of process that we really did preserve those games and everything. So it's like such a short amount of time that we wanted to announce this. And I overworked myself before the announcement. Like I had a legit panic attack, and I had to like just take a break and just take a breather. Like, okay, you know, it's all right. You know, there's no time pressure to finish this Rockman Corner article, you know, because it's just like when you have these games preserved, you just know like there's gonna be a lot of people who want to see this, you know, and right now you are the one thing that's preventing people from seeing this, and I want people to know as soon as possible. So, you know, it's just all about, you know, keeping within your boundaries and just you get passionate about it, but you gotta know that you also gotta take care of yourself too. And luckily, over these 3 years, it's kind of like a learning experience. Like I'm not the same person I was when I was doing the live stream in December 2022. Like I feel like I've grown thanks to this project, you know, whether it be leading these wonderful team of people or just managing myself. So yeah, it's just that was the main thing though, just getting discouraged and then putting too much pressure on myself.
Yeah, you know, often the first step is the hardest one. Like when you get past that, like gradually it gets a little easier. Akari Netsu says English translation when we addressed this in the first part, but it's a bit too early to say when just yet. But we've heard from Prof 9 that the Rockman EXE zone is working on English translations for the 2 EXE games we have here, but we don't know, like we don't have like any timeline on when they could possibly come out. Like we know that they started work on like figuring out how to manipulate the text boxes. That's about all we know so far.
Yeah. Also, I see DJ Castle back with another really good question. I'll send this one to you first, Naoya. how did y'all get into the world of cell phone preservation? Engineers are just hobbyists. Cheers. Cheers to you too.
How did I get into it? For me, what started it was at the end of 2020, when Remake was doing all the Final Fantasy VII Remake hype was going around. I got reminded of the Final Fantasy VII phone, and then I started digging deeper, and I thought to myself, hey, what about that Before Crisis game? And I thought I had found it, but turns out I found a fake one. Still haven't forgiven the person who did that. But eventually, I found Shadup's post on livestream, which eventually led me to Coffee Break Discord. And then, as I got in, I tried learning more and more about these Japanese phones, and man, were they restrictive about what you could do on the phones. And then eventually, the longer I stayed and the longer we persisted, and with the teamwork and effort of the Coffee Break Discord, we eventually got to this. It took a while, but that's pretty much how I got in. And then you go next, Cosmo.
How I got into this?
Yeah,
it's just I think this project really was the beginning of it. Let's see. It's funny. It's like I'm trying to think of like how like it's been so long since I first did this. Wow. So basically, I think Proto Dude, he made a post on Twitter. It was like it was a Japanese user playing these I think it was Phantom Network on an AU phone, not a Docomo phone.
Yeah, I remember that user.
Yeah, and I saw that post, and Proto Dude's kind of like, hey, can we have some, does anyone know this kind of a phone, etc. So at the time, I wasn't even in the Mega Man community for a year. I first joined in July 2020 with that with the Lego Flutter project. I remember that, and then the Rockman Dash Grid Adventure Guide Scanlation. So I'm doing all of that, and then I see this, and I'm like, oh, okay. How about I go research this easy web, this ecosystem, and I DM Proto Dude, and then he's just like, wow, that's some good info. How about I add you into a Twitter group chat, because we got a guy who has the games, a different user. So basically, that tiny little Twitter group chat of like 4 people. Eventually it just got big. We got put into like a private Discord channel, and that was really the beginning of this. Like, it was really just the Mega Man games that I was focused on first. I wasn't even the leader at first. I was just a guy who researched stuff. But then Pro Dude got more and more busy with other stuff, because that's just
he's a busy guy.
He has so many. He's so busy. He has so many other incredible things. And then for me, I guess I just started recruiting people in. First was Craze from Coffee Break, and then more and more people kind of started joining, and then that's what happened. I think I just gradually became a leader, but at the same time, it's like I don't even want to. I almost feel bad for calling myself a leader, because it's like, really, it's a massive team effort ultimately, and I do not wish to take credit for everyone else's work.
Oh, absolutely.
Because this is just, words can't describe it. So that's what happened. I just became invested in these Mega Man cell phone games, and when I joined the Coffee Break Discord server and to find other team members, I start seeing, wait a minute, there are a lot of other flip phone games just like these Mega Man games, and they're all also lost. What are we gonna do about that? So then what happened after that was in November 2021, you guys have probably heard us throw around the term iMode. And that was an internet service by Docomo. And it's still going on right now, actually. It shuts down in 2026. But there was something called the iMode website. And that hosted storefronts that game publishers would have to sell these kinds of games. And Capcom shut theirs down all the way back in 2018. But there's some like Sega or even Taito. And they kept their stores up all the way until the end, all the way up until the iMode website shut down in November 2021. So basically, it's like I see this shutdown impending, and I don't really see a lot of people talking about it. And then I see people in the Coffee Break Discord, and they're all just kind of like, yep, it's going to shut down. These games are going to be lost to time. And I'm just like, wait a minute, this can't be, like, how's no one talking about this? So out of just, I don't know, pure impulse, I decided to write an open letter to game preservation organizations telling them basically, hey, we got, a big preservation crisis on our hands. Thousands of games could be lost to time. Can we do something about it? And that spreads more than I could ever imagine. And yeah, so that ends up with the Game Preservation Society in Japan. I was able to get in contact with their president, and they were able to do a last-ditch effort to download as many iMode games before the shutdown. And they were able to download 876 games, which was really good. And then the website shut down, and boom, thousands of games are lost to time. And after I put myself out there, perhaps a little impulsively, I realized, you know what, like I can't just, retreat back to just only Mega Man. Now I think I can just start advocating for these flip phone games at large. And that's basically what happened. Ever since then, it's just been, yeah. That's what happened. And now I'm stuck in flip phone purgatory, and there's no way I'm getting out of it.
Unfortunately, part of it is probably like people just look at these games and like, oh, they're just flip phone games. Nobody cares about them. But like even if they're not, say, as impressive as the console games, I think they're still like there's still history that's worth preserving and making available for like anyone to like to try for themselves, learn about the past, that sort of thing.
Very much so.
Especially when you got games like the EXE games and Five Islands, which are basically, like as we said, lost entries in the series.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's just. Oh, go ahead, Naoya. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't know if you guys were ready to move on to the next question, because I saw some different questions.
I did want to add one thing to what RockmanCosmo was saying. That you said that you felt like bad about calling yourself a leader, but from what I've seen, man, you've been like really at the forefront of everything, like spreading the word about preserving these games and bringing everybody together to get it done. Yes. As well as like being the public face for the articles and everything. Like that in itself is a lot of work, and we do appreciate it.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you.
Very much so. You have no idea, man.
So when you say that you feel bad calling yourself a leader, in my eyes, you are the leader.
Thank you. It's very nice of you to say.
Oh, and then let's see, because Mega Man Zero is asking about, for all three of us, it's obvious we all love Mega Man, but are you hopeful for more of our Blue Bomber games to be found and preserved?
Yes, I am very hopeful. Actually, now I do want to. I can just say it. Yeah, I can say it. So we were talking about find the rest of Five Islands, but some of you may not know that there is another Battle Network game that was on these phones. It's related to Phantom Network, actually. It's it's Rockman.exe Phantom Network Battler's Tower, and that was an exclusive add-on for the AU version of these games, or I guess Easy Web version. So it's not the Docomo version. It's by it's a different carrier, and basically, actually, let's see. Yeah, so Phantom Network and Legend of Network were originally released for those devices. Like for those AU devices. The Docomo versions that we preserved actually came all the way in 2009, but these the original games were released in the early 2000s for AU devices first. So there's this exclusive side app for these AU phones, and it is it's mostly server dependent. That's the bad news, because they put you through a little boss rush, and then they'd give you like a scoreboard, like a leaderboard, and you could compare your scores to other people and try getting rankings and things like that. So it was kind of like a pseudo online multiplayer for Phantom Network. And I'm happy to say that we found there's another kind Japanese person that has agreed to send us their phone that has Battler's Tower on it. And the great thing about this phone in particular is that the specific phone model, it is dumpable. Like, we know that it's dumpable for a fact, because Craze, our great team member, he has already taken apart, ripped this phone model's guts out before, and he was able to dump it. and now we know of a more non-destructive way of dumping it. So yeah, look forward to that in the future. It's still being worked on, and it's also important to note that emulation for these AU easy web games are different from the Docomo games in that there is basically no like comprehensive emulation yet. There's only one emulator for these kinds of games. It's developed by our team member, username AK. He's the guy who helped develop the tool to brute force these the SD card, and he developed one emulator. It's called Melange, and yeah, he's the only developer of that. So it's not compatible with all the easy web games, and there's no sound support yet. So even if we do get that preserved, it's gonna be might take a bit for it to be in a really nice playable form, but I'm really excited for that, because even if it's server dependent, you know, there might be some music there that we haven't heard yet. Or
True.
Bright. So
Playable.
yeah. But yeah, that's the cool thing, though. You know, another Battle Network mobile game that's on its way to be preserved. Hopefully this year. We'll see what happens. We're still working on logistics. So.
There are two phones I know of. Not the AU phones I know. There are two brew phones I know of that you can sideload, and I recall seeing there is a Verizon. I want to say Verizon brew phone that you can get, hack, mod, and sideload your own brew games onto it. And the nice thing about the brew games for AU, there's nothing really much different about them, like how we have J2ME overseas, and then in Japan they have Doja. But if anything, at the worst case scenario, it would just be the phones wouldn't be able to read the text. So if we do dump the game, then we would be able to play it on a brew phone, but just the text wouldn't be readable, because overseas phones, they can read some of them can read Chinese, but not Japanese.
So yeah,
so
it's like
possible.
A very different ecosystem. Yeah, because the easy web games, they're brew, they're not Java. So that's another weird.
Yeah, but if anything, it's playable, and if someone feels like, because username AK talked about that it was possible to mod into the phones to add Japanese support, but then again, that's a lot of work. But if anything, that's something. I'm trying to see. Let's see. Don't worry about story claims lurking around. Trying to look for another question to ask. Would be cool to see Capcom remake these games in the future? Yes, it would be. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah. On that note, I think we talked about this last interview as well, but someone in Japan started to make a Phantom Network fan remake, but unfortunately it got cease and desisted by Capcom. No one really knows why, because Capcom don't usually do that kind of thing. Like they're not Nintendo in that way. Like they don't go around taking down any fan project they see. They usually have a good reason behind it. The best example I could think of is when fans did their own Resident Evil 2 remake, and then Capcom's like, hey yo, we're actually making our own. So, yeah, I don't know if that's the case with Phantom Network, but considering that it was like in Japan, I know Japan has like stricter copyright laws, so that might have something to do with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Very possible.
Yeah, and also I feel like that CND was. I have a feeling that was because of the Legacy collection they were working on at the time. Like either they were, it's either because maybe they were in the early stages and maybe they wanted to include Phantom Network, or the sprites were like too similar. I don't know, maybe something like that. Because I don't know, because we haven't heard anything about that since, and there's no word from Gmode yet. So I don't know, maybe it was just because it hit a little too close to home with the EXE collection at the time. But once again, that's just a theory. We have no idea.
Yeah.
What was the hardest technical challenge to overcome to make this possible?
Ooh.
For a method to be developed that could help us get the games from these phones without having to find much documentation on these phones, or at least the way that was one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, I think that's I agree. Yeah,
Because what's really nice now is, let's say, to all who are in the chat or watching, listening, let's say if you go on Bai or Mercari Japan, whatever, you get a Docomo phone, and imagine it has Rockman Fan of the Network on it, and you look at KT Dumper and it says your phone is supported. All you gotta do is modify a cable, not the phone, the cable, and then remove the battery, plug it in, run a script. You dumped it, you're done. Nothing
Exactly.
you don't need to have like this immense knowledge on JTAG or CPU or everything. It's just it's been reduced to being simple. The work into making it simple has been very hard. I don't know how XYZ has been able to do all this. Literally, I just jump into the chat and he's just like, okay, I need someone to test Docomo phones for me. And it's like, okay. And then we go in there, and there was one day where he was able to find a way to rip just exactly Java games from the Fujitsu phones. And the Mitsubishi phones, which is like D904i and stuff. So that was really surprising.
Yeah, it's just because we all want this, like, the dumping procedure for these phones to be as non-destructive and as accessible as possible, because we know a lot of the people that have these phones, they don't have the, like, myself included, they don't have the equipment to just desolder a bunch of chips and get them red. So the fact that it's something that's so simple as just modifying this cable, which team member Good Tofu Friday, he is working on a PCB so that this layout can be I guess the modified cable layout can be reproduced really easily, mass produced. He's working on that, which means, well, we can just get these cables out to a ton of people.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if someone started like selling these modified cables, so like anyone that got one can dump their own games?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's also really nice about this method is that it is anonymous. So you could do it privately. And it's cheaper than what you would have to go through to buy JTAG equipment and soldering and stuff. But if anything, the anonymous part I like is because you could kind of do it in your own privacy.
And then, oh man, I'm just watching this gameplay here. This is me failing epically at playing.
So
yeah, I gotta upload gameplay of Roll sometime, because this is embarrassing.
Yeah, don't go.
I mean, Mega Man 1. I mean, it's a miracle Mega Man ever got a sequel, but still, I mean, come on, Cosmo, you can be a bit better at this. Oh wait, no, I beat Cutman. Never mind. Okay,
Oh, let's go.
Awesome. Yeah, you didn't even see me jump for joy.
To anyone out there who wants to, like, take their chances, buy a phone and whatnot from Bai, it's a bit of a gamble, but the nice thing is now is that most likely, depending on the Docomo phone you get, you pretty much have a high chance of being able to save that game and play it, which is nicer than it was a year or two ago. I even got a phone lot coming in too. Wonder what's on those. How does role play?
How does Roll play? Yeah, she plays the same, except she has she actually has a charge shot. It's interesting, and her sound effects are a little different. I think her charge shot's kind of weird though, where it has its own bar. It has like its own little meter basically, so you can't use it all the time, and you can't like charge it up necessarily. You just press the button, and then there's like a 3-second delay of her charging up, and then boom, it gets released, which makes it a little impractical to use on regular enemies that are jumping around, because you're just charging up, and as you're charging up, the player just kind of, yeah, you're gonna miss. So it's still a really cool feature, and also the stage select screen, instead of playing the regular Mega Man 1, it plays a remix of Roll's theme, which is pretty cool. Um, Also, I see Zura in the chat saying, "Still waiting for the Mega Man Battle Network challenge." Hee hee. Yeah, there was this dumb, I don't know, bet that I made in the Scilab Secrets chat that was like, I forgot exactly the specifics of it, but I think it was like, if the key to decrypt these games was like the last key, like FFFFF or whatever, like I would 100% Battle Network 4 both versions. Um, but that didn't happen. But apparently now the team is teasing me that because it turns out that we got like the full EXE games, like we didn't think it was the full EXE games, but now that we got the full games, that's enough of a surprise for me to do like the 100% Battle Network 4 challenge.
I
I
agree.
shouldn't have said anything. I mean, the worst part is I said 100% Battle Network 4. I didn't specify the version, which means I have to do both versions now. But I don't know.
You must pay for your
I gotta do it
blunder.
now though. Yeah. Uh,
I do remember how confused people were when we went from here's a few chapters to, oh, actually we have the full game, like within, like, basically overnight.
yeah, it was literally overnight. Yeah, craziest 24 hours of my life in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, like if you are gonna make a big mistake, that's probably one of the best you could make. It's a
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
positive one. Definitely a good problem to have.
I see Mega Man Zero asks, I wonder how the secret Scilab was formed. Yep, Scilab Secrets. What was the humble beginnings of your group? Yeah, so I think I kind of touched on that when I was discussing how I got into this in the first place, and that was because I saw Proto Dude put out a tweet about a phone with the Battle Network games, and then I just got put into I contacted him, and then he put me into a teeny little Twitter group chat where we found another user who knows good Tofu Friday, and then he was able to send the phone to us. But yeah, I think that's really it though. It was just like a tiny group of users at first in a tiny Twitter group chat, and then we moved to a private Discord channel, and then it just grew from there. So yeah, that's basically the humble beginnings right there of Scilab Secrets. I think just it all started when we made that tiny group chat, and I wasn't even there from the beginning. There, Pro Dude really is one of the original members. And then I also see Comic Sans saying you did this in all of your free time, having full time jobs. Yeah, we're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he did it actually. I think it's just time management. I don't know.
You
It's funny.
know, when you're really passionate about this stuff, it's work, but it's something you really want to, accomplish. So, you just try to motivate yourself to do it, I guess.
Yeah, it's the love for the series, and then just the community itself as well. Because I know a lot of people wanted this, so it's like, you know,
I'll actually add
let's
on
just
to his question. What was, if any, like, was there any, like, big monetary costs for doing all this?
yes, yeah. There were some costs of doing this. I should probably just address it too. Like we did 2 fundraisers for this. I'm not sure people remember that, but, like, early on, we
I
needed,
remember.
oh, yeah, you remember, yeah. You helped spread the word for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was to cover the cost, of receiving that original phone, but also to cover the cost of just getting the equipment to test this stuff, because, like, we had to get chip programmers, I mean, test phones as well, because, like, we can't just be testing on the phone with the EXE games, like, we could damage the phone, and there we go. It's better to have a bunch of test phones. So that's what happened, and I think, yeah, just that's really the biggest cost. I think was just getting all that equipment. And the great thing about it was, yeah, just that the amount of money that was raised was just perfectly what we needed. Like we used all of that, and we even have like the receipts to just show it. Like in our Discord chat, there's a pinned message, and it has like every single like amount of money and every single place where it went. So yes, be reassured that we are not using it on a fancy sports car with the word Docomo on it. We are not. No way.
No.
We've been using it for all good, and as well as to help other similar projects as well, like Craze, the team member who helps with the AU phones. He was also helping out, buying his own like other AU phones from the test, and we were able to help use some of our project funds to cover shipping for him, since he lives all the way in Ukraine, where there's a terrible conflict going on right now. So it's just, yeah, the monetary cost was there, but thanks to the community, we were able to cover it.
Mm-hmm. Very much
That's
so.
really good.
And then
Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna read off the next question.
I was as well, so you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Is there any other Docomo phone you have on target to obtain for the preserve of game? Oh, asking if there's any. I assume asking if there's any game we are looking to preserve. Cosmo, I'll let you answer that because I've already gone before on what I want to preserve. If there's anything else.
Yeah, I don't really have a specific phone model in mind. It's really just like whatever the game is on, we want to focus on that model. But yeah, right now it's just like, I don't know. It's a really good question though. It's a hard one too. Like it's not a Docomo phone, but like the AU phone, the W53S, like that's where the Battler's Tower is. Rockman EXE Battler's Tower. So that's one that we want, but we know that one's dumpable anyways. Like Craze has already helped dump that before. So yeah, I don't have a good answer for that, unfortunately. But I mean, the obvious answer is all of them. Like I want all the Docomo phones to be dumped. Like I got this really weird phone actually. It's called the F04B. Yeah, I have it right here. Yeah, F04B, and it's a phone that can split in two. No kidding. It's kind of like I don't know. I guess I can send the article I wrote on it, but basically it has two halves. It has like a keypad half and it has a regular phone half, and then it can split into two, and both halves have gyrometers inside. So there's a game on here called Wildland. It's preloaded on this phone, and basically you're on an island and you need to survive. And in order to survive, you got to get yourself food, make yourself shelter, whatever. But all of that is done with little mini games, and these mini games involve swinging both of these like halves of the phone. Like it's like a Wiimote basically. So for example, if I want to climb up a tree, I have this keypad half of the phone, and then I gotta shake it up and down like an idiot, and then up the little guy climbs up the tree. Or if I gotta chop down the tree, I took some videos of it. I can probably put in a chat. But this is it's a super weird phone. It's a Fujitsu phone, really weird experimental phone. But it has this one weird game that is only on this phone because of the motion control, the separate motion control aspect of it. Having like two halves. So I guess if I had to focus on one phone, like if I wanted one, it's probably this one, because I want to see people play this and destroy their arms. So I did take a 3-hour long play of this, and my right arm was sore for about a week. And that was like, oh my god.
I've played that game. I've played that game. It's a fun game.
Oh yeah, I think we met up once. I showed it to you. Right?
Oh yeah.
And then you look quite foolish in public, just flailing your arm around.
What did I participate in the game?
Yes, you did. That? Yeah, for like 10 minutes, and then you stopped. I think because it was just tiring.
Let's see. The next question from DJ Castle. Of these games y'all have preserved so far, do y'all have hopes for other things to be found and preserved, like EB64 or betas? What's an EB64?
Like Earthbound 64?
Oh, I guess this is just referring to games in general. Because if you're talking about betas for IMO games, they do exist. Well, I've read articles that they exist. That I've even met someone who has played the Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII beta. Turns out Square Enix does have a few of their games, like betas of their games for iMode. but I have yet to find anyone who claims to even have them, even to this day. But in terms of IMO games, we'll try to find whatever we can. Earthbound 64, I am not clear on the status of that.
Yeah, just to be clear,
heard of it.
these guys are like focused on these Docomo Japanese feature phone games. Their team isn't like really about like console games, at least as of this moment.
I mean, if someone comes across my way that does have that, I will. Well, I'll consult with the community first, because I know some communities get a little particular about who to talk to about preserving games. Like with the blatant games, there's a bit of a problem with asking people from Japan to preserve the games.
Right.
So, but if I do end up seeing it, I will definitely notify whoever is able to help out. If I can help out, I'll try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a question here. Do you have a link if you want to send support further in this preservation project? Yeah, right now we don't have any donation links set up because currently, like, the amount of funds that we have is like it's enough to last us, to help buy more test phones and things like that. So we're currently set for a bit. If you want to donate to actually Craze, he does have he has a Ko-fi. He helps preserve other like phone games as well, including the Zibo, which was like a Brazilian console that ran on Brew, which is what those AU flip phones also ran on. So I can drop that in the chat, I guess. Like, that's like the closest thing to supporting our team, because right now we're not really. I don't think we need any at the moment. But if you want to help Craze out,
Leo Alex50 asks, by the way, what other games have you found on these phones other than the Mega Man franchise? Oh boy. I got a list.
What games have we found other than Mega Man?
I got a list.
Go ahead, yeah. Oh, that's a big list.
A lot of Puyo Puyo games.
Oh.
a lot of Puyo Puyo games. Sonic. We found Street Fighter, Dragon Quest. We got a lot of Bomberman games. A lot of Bomberman variants.
Oh,
Here's something for the chat. Imagine a Lilo and Stitch Bomberman game. Yes, it does exist.
Oh my gosh.
And I intend on getting that because preservation, everyone. Preservation of beauty. But I know what phone it's pre-installed on for the demo. Because
what is this? I've never heard of this.
I just recently found it. I'm gonna get it for the chat. It was some type of Disney even had their own hand in the flip phones in Japan. They even have some exclusive games for their for it too. I even got like some type of Mickey Mouse typing game as well. Still have no idea how to get that off the phone, but it's being looked into. And then there was another game as well. A lot of Tetris variant games, like Tetris 1 to 3, Tetris Crystal. Oh, another one that's being looked into, apparently catches a lot of people's ears, is Katamari. And that's another one being looked into being preserved.
Like Katamari Damacy?
I believe, yes, that will be Cosmo's department, because he knows more about Katamari than I do.
Yeah, it is. Katamari Damacy. Yeah, they made a mobile phone port of the game. Yeah, it's preloaded on the P904i device, and it actually has motion controls. And you might be wondering, well, how did they do motion controls on this phone? Did they have a gyrometer? Well, this phone is so old it doesn't have one. It actually uses the camera for motion control. It's like a thing called Gesture Tech Mobile. These guys also helped develop that camera for the PS2 and also the Kinect? It was they developed other peripherals, but basically they use the camera of the phone to detect tilt. Basically, I think they use light or whatever. It's kind of cool, and it's very accurate too. If you're in a bright room, like the camera detecting the tilt is pretty accurate. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, PlayStation iToy. Yeah, that's what it is. Old Mouse X. Yeah. So that's basically how that game works, and the phone itself is having some trouble being dumped with that cable, but people are working on that. And in addition to the games that Naoya has listed, there's been just a butt ton of games that have been dumped from these phones thanks to this cable. Like not just pre-installed games, like even paid games. Like a couple of days ago, Sonic Daifugo was dumped by Good Tofu Friday.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was not a pre-installed game. That was a downloadable Sonic card game. It's like Millionaire, a card game. So if you like Sonic and card games, you can check that one out.
That's cool.
Oh,
You
very
also
much
have
so.
also Final Fantasy IV: The After Years, but just the first chapter. That's
And
like
prologue.
yeah.
I remember
the
playing that
prologue.
on Wii.
Yeah, exactly. They re-released that one on Wii, but the original flip phone version's been lost until now. Well, it's still partially found. We haven't found the full game yet, but that was one of the first like downloadable games that has been preserved, and then a bunch of other mini games. Like my personal favorite is what was it called? Nose hair expert. Basically, you got a nose, and then you got to pick the nose hairs. It's like WarioWare. It's genius. I wish they also made a sequel in 3D. It's just incredible.
Dang.
Also, in terms of Final Fantasy IV: The After Years, if there's any fans out there for that, the SoftBank version of it has been found. There is someone who does have the Docomo version. I know the person who has the Docomo version, the full game, and then we have and we know someone who has the AU version. So Final Fantasy IV was on all three platforms in Japan, which was nice. So I'm pretty sure that the Docomo version where is it yeah, that one is the full game, from what I've been hearing about from talking to the person who does have it. Also has the Final Fantasy VII snowboarding game, because snowboarding on your flip phone. Yeah, that's
My
what we need.
favorite.
And we also are, and there's also some other games we're looking forward to. I forget which ones.
Oh yeah, the Kingdom Hearts coded Olympus Coliseum demo that was preloaded on P01A devices. That was dumped
Yes.
by yours truly.
Hey,
that
yo.
was one of the first phones that I dumped with the debug cable. Yeah, that one is just a demo, but yeah, it is a Kingdom Hearts coded. I mean, it's on the DS, of course, but in the original version, it's on there. But yeah, it's just that the games are just increasing basically by the day, like literally by the day. Like a week ago, we couldn't dump Fujitsu and Mitsubishi Docomo phones with that cable. All of a sudden, boom! Not every phone, but like the ones that are before 2008, basically. We can all just dump those now. So it's like now when we see somebody who just let's say someone pops up with like a Fujitsu phone or something like that, and they got a game on there. Now there's a higher chance that we can say, yep, that one's dumpable with this cable, and it's not destructive. So it's just opening the possibilities to more and more games getting preserved, and it's just been a total waterfall since last year. And I think the Mega Man games were just like they're really the icing on the cake, but really it's just it's a milestone. That's what they were, the Mega Man games. It was really us, realizing, we've made it here. These flip phones, these games are not going to be stuck on there anymore. We've got a method.
Would you guys say that Square Enix has been like one of the more consistent ones with like either remaking or porting these feature phone games, like Coded and After Years?
Well, Kingdom Hearts Coded, Kingdom Hearts is a different one, because you take any Kingdom Hearts game out of the equation and it could kind of disrupt the storytelling. If for all you Kingdom Hearts fans, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't end at just one Kingdom Hearts game. But with the recent uproar of 7 Remake, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually Before Crisis or Dirge or Kerberos gets something.
Oh yeah, speaking of Dirge Cerberus last episode, the demo was also dumped.
That, and we also are aware of someone who does have the full, well, the purchased version of the game. He does not have the SD card. It wasn't included when he bought the phone, but he was telling me, "Oh, I have Dirge or Kerberos last episode, but I can't play the demo." I said, "What do you mean you can't play the demo? Can you show me the photo?" And I saw, and it showed a picture of an SD card, no, a SIM card next to it, and that was the indication that it was purchased, and that is the voiced version. So who knows what they'll have. I hope it has the rest of the chapters, because we have 1 through 5, and I forget how many left there are. I want to say 9. I want to say there's 9 total, but I could be wrong. But either way, that's on that for the Final Fantasy area. Treasure.
Yeah, the problem with Before Crisis is just the fact that it's streamed data from a server, so it's like, you know, even if you do have the game files, there's a good chance you won't really have the full game there, but you are gonna have the sprites, of course, and
I know how to make it work.
Oh yeah, and then well, Naoya knows more about that than me. If he gets Before,
well,
he has the demo Before Crisis on his AU phone, but there's currently not a way to dump that phone. The AU phones are really weird. Like they're really hard to dump compared to the Docomo ones. Like, well, they're all hard to dump, but the AU ones are kind of like the final boss sometimes, just because of how many user partitions they have and where the games are, and it's a total technical headache. So for that phone in particular, they've been kind of stuck on that for a while.
And also something else to note is that Before Crisis, it uses the camera of the phone to take picture of the materia, and most of the materia in the game can only be obtained by the use of camera, and I think they don't want to change that. However, we'll see what happens. Nomura is still hard set on it's a mobile game, it's gonna stay as a mobile game, but we'll see. Oh, and I wanted to get to this in terms of the W51H. What is preventing the Before Crisis demo Chapter 1 game preserved is that, we need to figure out at which address is the second memory bank located for when dumping the W51H. Because sadly, even though the processor, the CPU is listed as compatible with some JTAG devices out there, we need some more technical assistance on that. And once that gets helped and everything, then hopefully this year fans can play Before Crisis, because I really want fans to play that demo, because we got robbed. I will say, when we didn't get that game, we got robbed of that experience.
It's actually pretty crazy when you think about how there's so many like different lost entries, sequels, prequels of like different series that are just locked away on these phones.
Persona IDIS mission, man. That's one of them. That's another one of the reasons why I like getting into all this, because like it's not, for some of these series, it's not just like here's a little card game variant of it. Nah, it's like Square Enix goes out and makes Kingdom Hearts coded Before Crisis, and then Professor Layton has a whole different game. It's just, you kind of get your money's worth. Actually, you get kind of more for your money's worth, in my opinion. Because these games are like $3 to $5 a month to play the entire thing. And when they add new content, every 2 weeks or a month, depending on what game it is, and you don't have to pay anything extra, that's amazing compared to what's going on nowadays.
Yeah, it's like a subscription service, basically. Capcom would have their own service, and it wouldn't even be just the games too. Like you would also get wallpapers and like other little things for your phone. Like I think I posted a while ago on Twitter. It was like a Battle Network wallpaper. It was like an animated wallpaper. Oh. And then like the settings for it, like I don't know. I think Mail's house was email, which haha, Mail has the email, but it's like You know, you'd be going around AC/DC town basically as you're navigating your phone settings, and I think that was just that was super cool. And that you can only get that if you're on Capcom's. I guess it's a little subscription service.
And wait, is there any hidden treasure game that you find during process? Did we answer this question?
Where are you at right now?
I'm in the chat a little bit high up. Look for Adley TYJ. Is there any treasure game that you find during the process?
Did you find any like hidden treasures during the process, like dumping?
Are we talking about games or pictures? Well, we'll stick to games.
Yeah, please let's stick to games. Yeah, I don't want to get into it. I don't. Let's just say we don't want to get into stuff we found on the phone sometimes. All right. I think the games are a bit more interesting.
We're about to. No.
No.
Is there any hidden treasure? I'm sorry. Is there any hidden treasure game that you find during the process? For me, before, if anything, I find people who have these big amount of treasure games. Cosmo, if you want to.
The hidden treasures. I mean, I guess the hidden treasure for the Mega Man games was honestly 5 Islands.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't think that was even on the internal storage. We just thought it would be the EXE games. So it's like we got hit with a double whammy. First, all right, we got the EXE games and some mini games. Well, wait a minute, we have 5 Islands. Well, wait a minute, it's the full EXE games. So, yeah, I think that was I think the first little treasure was 5 Islands because we did not expect to dump that one.
And someone said Bomberman. AI M3 is asking, yeah, a lot of Bomberman games. Mainly from my P900i. We got Bomberman Mini, Bomberman Puzzle, Bomberman Reprint Edition, Bomberman Wide, different variants of Bomberman game, and what was it? There was one more I wanted to say. Oh, here's another one. Is Biohazard is another game we did find, which was surprising. That was on the P903i that I gave to Cosmo, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. Glad you were able to make history in that, because Biohazard, and to get an idea of what phone this was on, it was similar to it was a clamshell phone, but still though, that was interesting nonetheless.
Is that like like RE1 or it's like a different kind of game?
Totally original.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they even go as far as making like original only for the cell phone stuff, which makes sense, if it's like, oh, why should I bother buying this game for my cell phone? Well, it's unique and it's not on a PS2 or an Xbox or whatever.
Yeah, it says here, it's called Biohazard: The Stories. It says, let's see, it's based on Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, but it's like you got different characters and you got new missions around this church. I don't play Resident Evil, so I wouldn't know the specifics, but it seems like it's based on RE3, but they got some original missions and locations in there.
All right.
Ooh. Oh, here's another one I gotta throw in. Imagine playing Dance Dance Revolution on your flip phone.
Oh no.
Well, that's another one for looking goofy in public.
I guess your thumbs get a good exercise.
Yes, you heard me right, Dance Dance Revolution. Oh, there you go. Mega Man Zero has another question. Question for the two. I'm sure it wasn't an issue or maybe a worry, but surely you guys thought about getting into some trouble with all these extracting stuff, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Very much so. You know what? I'm just gonna say this. I'm surprised that no one in Japan has caught on and say, "Oh, look, Phantom of Network, Legend of Network."
Well, there have been some. I received some nice messages from Japanese users. Yeah.
No, that's good.
They're very happy.
I'm
very happy.
I think I saw like one user offhand, like talking about it.
Yeah, it's.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's like, any kind of game preservation, you're gonna get into some, legally dubious territory. But it's like, with the context of these games at this point in time, over a decade, well, it's gonna be close to being a decade, not being available anymore, and it doesn't seem like there are any commercial pursuits of these games. Like a lot of these publishers are like, even like especially with the mini games, you know, like do you think Sega's ever gonna release Sonic Daifugo? You know, that card game. It's like they treat a lot of these companies treat these games as disposable. Unfortunately, you know, like an artifact of their time. And given how hard it is to even port these games, sometimes, well, I guess if emulation is hard, but I guess porting is easier. You know, if you do it like a Unity recreation, but it's like it's not really much of a priority.
Yeah.
You know, and when it comes to game preservation like this, it's like this is the one way it's gonna happen at the moment. And if the companies do something official with it, I'm more than happy to just support that as well. So if Capcom ever does re-release these games, I'm 100% gonna urge people, like support that too.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna. If they release Phantom, what would be really cool is a Legacy Collection, Phantom Network, Legend Network, and then what would be the 4.5?
Yes.
What was that one called?
Yeah, EXE 4.5, like real operation.
I also think that would be great. Those 3 games, 3 exclusive games exclusive Japanese games that overseas has never gotten an official release.
Throw in
what about the Wonder Swan?
Wait, what?
Oh, Wonder Swan.
What about the Wonder Swan?
That's a good one too.
You both keep talking at the same time. I keep missing which one?
Well, we just mentioned 2 games. Operate Shooting Star, the DS port, a hands-full port to BN1, and then you have Wonder Swan, which is like a completely original game. It's like a 2D battle network game, kind of like Network Transmission. But it's on the Wonder Swan. It's got sprites and all that. It's actually the story's based on the anime. It's not like the game canon.
Oh. I am still learning more about like what Rockman games are out there, as with my conversations with Cosmo. He's always educating me on what does exist, what's worth playing, what's not worth playing, and what's the heated question in the Rockman community and the hot takes and everything. Learning so much about the fandom.
Hey, y'all not know, let's get Network Transmission ported too. And Command Mission.
Oh yeah, I mean, it has one of the best Mega Man soundtracks, period. I don't think that's a hot take. I think everyone agrees that's just hands down incredible
hands
soundtrack.
Down.
DJ Castle asks about, let's see, recent success, cell phone game dumps. Do y'all have hopes for Earthbound 64 and other Beta 1 delays? One day, if we can find it, and if that person who has it is willing to agree to help with preservation, then yeah, that's the hard part, is whoever has it and wants to preserve it. Like, we've even found people with Dirge Kerberos Lost Episode, the brew version the one released overseas for North America, and then he wasn't too fond on the idea of preserving it and stuff. So if anything, sadly, it mainly depends on who the person is who has it and if they're willing to agree to help. Atira Sound team went ham with Network Transmission OST.
Oh yeah, like, good lord. They really knocked it out of the park.
My gosh, what was that? Someone ripped the music from the Phantom Network game, and I put it on my Docomo phone, and I listened to it, and it just sounded so amazing. Really nice. The OST for Phantom Network is amazing. I love the battle melody. It's so good for what a cell phone can do.
I know. I'm really interested in like seeing that like better emulator or whatever it takes to fix up the sound emulation so that we can hear it in game at perfect quality.
Oh, same here. Yeah, because these phones do have Linux in them. So if any of you Linux experts out there, or if you know anyone who'd be willing to tackle that issue for helping with sideloading, there are people who'd be willing to, contribute and help. It's a very niche category. Now back. Like Dance Dance Revolution. Yes, Bolt Mouse X. Dance Dance Revolution for your flip phone. You
Runs
did
at
hear that
like
correct.
10 frames a second, but yeah, I think it makes it a
A,
little easier.
with modification and some knowledge on how Java works, you can make it go faster. True.
DJ Castle, I believe they answered Earthbound 64 in beta question before.
Oh, I just answered that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes I get the persistent question asking. Oh, here we go. Question for Cosmo. Wait, is this a new one? Yeah. Wait.
Oh yeah.
Is there stuff
Were
I can-
you ever scared during the extraction or dumping process? Like stuff breaking to levels that's not fixable and the like. Yeah. Yeah, but it's like with the debug cable method that we used to dump the phone with the EXE games. I had faith that it was gonna work because it had just it had worked on so many other models, and then we also did like a test P06C phone, and that's what happened. We tested that phone, and that one dumped successfully. I think it was Craze who did that test dump. So then, yeah, it just we used it on our phone, and then it worked pretty smoothly. So, yeah, I think during the extraction process for that phone, it wasn't that nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking. We were brute forcing that key though, because like I think the tool estimated. Well, let's see. The device key took us 20 days to brute force, and I think the estimate for that was 23 days. I think I forget how long it was originally supposed to be estimated. So we're getting closer to that 23-day mark, and then like some of our team members are joking like, "Oh, imagine if the key is like FFFFF, you know, like the very last key, you know," and we just brute force on the wrong end. But then, like, username AK is trying to tell us, like, well, you know, my tool isn't 100% perfect. You know, I did some stuff to it to make it run faster, so it might fail, and we might have spent 20 days brute forcing nothing, you know? So that was a little nerve-wracking. I was like, oh, man, you know, like, Good Tofu Friday was running that. He was basically destroying his poor GPU with that brute forcing tool for 20 days, and we did not want it to go to nothing. So... yeah, I think
really
that
is the
was
worst feeling that you spend all that time on doing this one thing just to find out it doesn't work, or you did it all for nothing. Man, that sucks.
Yeah, and he has to do it 3 times now. I think. I mean, he did it one time for the device key. They did another time for device unique key, but that was only for Rockman Tennis. And now for 5 Islands, he's got to do it again. But luckily, the other team members, Zur, they also have a good GPU for this. So for the what was it? For the second brute forcing effort, they started from the other end of the key space, so them and Tofu were able to meet in the middle, basically. Or, well, they never did, of course, because they found the key. But at least we got a second person to help us out with that, because if it was just Tofu doing the brute forcing for all those days, yeah, rest in peace, GPU.
And then AI asks, I assume there's a way to make copies of a game just to make sure it's possible for smooth extraction.
Like, I guess backing up a game so you don't lose it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now that once it gets once you get it off the phone and onto the computer, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
like
and of course the SD card backups also help, but that's hard to do if you don't have the SIM card, which we don't.
ooh, yeah. These are still phones after all.
Yeah, and
They-
they're all pushing 2 decades as well.
The fact that any of them at all to this point still like boot up is still a miracle in itself, because I've spoken to other people who have been in the flip phone dumping stuff for a while, and they've encountered some phones with like dead flashes, and I didn't even think or consider that, because some people, like, they play the games on the phones until either the screen dies or the buttons get ruined and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. They also
those ones,
It feels like they made them a bit more sturdier material back in the day. Cause like today, I get a new phone and like within a year or two, my charging port starts breaking down, and I can't charge anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah, these phones are built like bricks. Well, some of them look like bricks, but
They
like,
are literally bricks.
it's like that. It's like the Nokia 3310. You can put that in nuclear explosion and it's gonna survive. These phones are like that too. They're very resilient. I think I remember I met Naoya once, and like he had this. There's this weird Fujitsu phone that's like it's like half like a phone, but it also has Windows 7 like just built into it. Like literally, like it's just Windows 7, like the desktop Windows 7. It just smushed onto a phone. It has like a weird like, what is it like? I don't know what it is. It's like not even a trackpad, but basically it's this really thick, giant phone, and it has like 2 batteries or whatever. It's just giant. And then we're like, I think we leave like a restaurant, and then the phone falls out of his pocket and it hits the ground, and like I can't describe how loud that sound was. It was like a brick hit the ground, and everyone's looking at us, and it's like, no, it's not. Nothing went off. It's just an old Japanese flip phone that's just super thick and has like 2 batteries in it.
In case anyone's curious, that is the F-07C. It is a Symbian and Windows 7 2-in-1 phone. The board on top is it's the Symbian part, and then the bottom is literally a computer. Not the fastest computer, but it's a hell of a concept for, I want to say, 2011. When did this phone came out? Because
2011.
Yeah, so the fact that you can say that at all, it's interesting. Again, not the fastest, but
I think the battery life is like 30 minutes, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, here's an interesting one from Mega Man Zero. Naoya, how did you get over the Japanese customs, get phones, and all that? I heard some scary stories about them and how often it is impossible to get certain items out of Japan. From what I've read from their list of what they do and don't allow, it seems like they don't allow stuff like perfumes and all that stuff, but with enough bubble wrap, all your problems can be solved.
I know, like a big one is batteries.
No, literally, like one time, like sometimes they'll wrap this thing in some good thick protective bubble wrap to the point where the thing's literally like covered in layers and layers of bubble wrap. So I think that's how they're able to send the phones or whatnot. So interesting. So like Nokia. Nah, not like that one Nokia. The freaking brick that can take out someone if you throw it at them.
Or PET.
Beat.
Like if you throw a PET at someone, I'm sure it can lead to some destructive effects.
Man, I really do wish that Phantom Network and Legend of Network had those out of context moments like Battle Network games did. I always love those moments.
Like the overworld sprites, right? Yeah.
The squirrel.
Those games just don't have the overworld.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but I mean, they did cram the whole battle system in there, so I can't ask for more.
I know, right?
I can. I'll ask.
Look at the footage. I actually realized that we don't have like the full-size chip images either, just the icons.
Oh yeah, that's because when it comes to making games for the cell phones, while those unlimited network plans does exist, not everyone had them. So from what I've read from developers, when it came to developing these games, they had to really put into consideration about the size of the game. Mm-hmm. And while they can obviously make a bigger size game, but I think what they wanted to do was they wanted to make a smaller size game for less charge to your account. That way, if it's like, oh, it's way too expensive to download this game, then what's the point of buying it?
True. I wish they paid more attention to that today.
They, yeah, because yeah, that's true. I wish they did. They really
Oh,
love going all out.
Yeah, I definitely the whole like size issue. It's definitely a problem that's plagued many early Mega Man games. Even like the first game, Mega Man 1 only has 6 Robot Masters because they couldn't fit it into the cartridge. So they made bigger ones. EXE games, EXE 3 got the animations when you jack in and used to have a customizer cut out of the English versions because the translation took up too much data.
Oh wow.
So yeah, definitely a lot of cases like that in this series.
And also, ShadowRock, have you tried playing the flip phone games for yourself?
I've been meaning to get to it. I actually want to stream them. But yeah, I've been so busy at work, I haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be there when you stream it. I want to see this.
Yeah, me too.
Also, I see Scilab Secret say greetings in the chat. Yeah, I think that's team member Neto Hikari. Might be because I know I know some of their accounts are under the Scilab Secret's name. So yeah, another team member is there in the chat. Welcome.
Someone in the chat asked, question, will the phone emulator be able to run and work on a GBA handheld so that we can play Phantom Network and Legend Network on GBA? Honestly, with what I've seen, with what people can do in general, just with everything from like Pokemon to Game Boy Advance, Metroid, anything's possible if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, the current emulator here that you're seeing on the screen, the Doja 5.1 SDK, that one's unfortunately it's Windows only. But yeah, let's see. I mean, Naoya did bring it up earlier. J2ME Loader is another Java Micro Edition emulator that's on Android and iOS. And someone's working on adding Docomo Java support to it.
There is a GBA SDK. Or at least there are people who know how to make games for Game Boy Advance, and you can decompile the Phantom Network, Legend Network, no problem. So it's honestly, it all just depends on, do you really want to go through all the work to make that possible? It's possible, just it's gonna be a lot of work.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and yeah, pretty much anything's possible if you put your mind to it.
No, I mean it really is. I'm sure if I went back in time and told us that this was gonna happen, we'd be many people in our chat would say a USB cable that puts in a test mode, but there's no such thing. There's no documentation, yada yada. It just depends on your resources and that.
Yeah.
Greetings, Scilab Secrets. Hello.
Welcome, Scilab Secrets.
Hey,
it's so
I
funny. I know that guy. Yeah. I recognize that name.
And
it would be like a pipe dream to have an emulator for these phones, like you know, on a modern smartphone or Steam Deck or something.
Oh, the Steam Deck. One of the Discord users we know, Ellen, she was able to find a way to get this emulator to run on her Steam Deck. So it's possible. I just forget what the streaming app is called. Also, I don't have a Steam Deck, but it's possible.
That's cool.
Moonlight may be a good place to start looking. Yeah, it's something to be able to play to play the Docomo games on your Steam Deck. And ideally that's what I would like to do, is play them on something mobile or portable.
Right.
And better. Yeah.
It's a little weird to play them on PC.
It is.
Especially when they're meant to be played portably.
I still haven't played a bunch of Phantom Network, mainly just because I don't want to play it on PC. Also because it keeps crashing on me. but I'd rather play it on. I'd rather wait and play it on Android. Like I have a Android flip phone, a very neat looking one actually, and I would love to play Doja games on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's the closest thing you can get to having it on original hardware at this point, right? Like an Android flip phone.
Oh yeah, and the fact that with Android, the nice thing is that if you make Doja games for it, for the emulator, depending on how accurate the emulator is, you don't really have to worry much about size. Because when it comes to these J2ME games and MITP games, that was kind of the big issue was size.
Yeah, but storage sizes have come a long way.
Very much so. If anything, the emulation, the emulators can help remove or lessen that restriction, which is really nice. Like I've been dabbling in making J2ME games, and I've been able to go further and beyond what I could do for the J2ME phones, which is really nice. One could even port Phantom Network to J2ME and play it on the J2ME loader, but you would have to have an immense knowledge of Battle Network. I actually did look into that, and from what I saw in the code for Phantom of the Network, one of the biggest problems is there's like a panel API that it uses, and if someone could figure out how to solve that problem, the rest of the code should be somewhat fine without much problems. I'd rather play Phantom Network on the Android flip phone. I cannot stress that how much I've looked into that.
I probably won't mind however I play it, as long as the joystick key works.
The what?
RockmanCosmo was mentioning the joystick key program that lets you like bind the keys to your controller.
Oh yes.
Like, as long as that's good enough, I'm okay.
Oh yeah, J2ME Loader and JailMod, they both have key mapping functions
Oh, neat.
in their app. Oh yeah. So like let's say if you just happen to have an Android flip phone and you download J2ME Loader, you can map the buttons, because I've noticed with some of them I have, the buttons are different per device. But still, and they also support Bluetooth for game controllers, I think. But either way, yeah.
Controller support's a must. Do not play Phantom Network with the keyboard like I am here. It just does not feel right. It feels so much better once you got the controller.
That's funny. I actually don't mind playing Battle Network on a keyboard, but any other Mega Man game, no, it has to be a controller.
Oh really? Oh, it's funny. Yeah, because the first time I ever played a Mega Man game was on it was like an online emulator. So it's like I had like the arrow keys and it had ZX.
Yeah,
that's my classic layout.
Like the whole arrow keys and ZX layout works surprisingly well with Battle Network, because the arrow keys let you be like precise since you're moving on a grid.
I gotta say though, I do not like this skin that they have for the Docomo phones. I mean, for the Docomo emulator. There is a way to change that.
Skin?
Yeah. It's yeah, you could change it.
You mean like the way it...
Like you see, like look at the video, look at the screen, and you see that blue Docomo phone. So imagine replacing that with either the SH10C P900 IV. Yeah, you could do that.
Oh, you can do that. Oh.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, because it says device 1, 2, or 3, and so because imagine if your target audience was people with a P900 IV phone, and then you could see what it would look like on a P900 IV theoretically. Just an example.
So now it's not a wonder what phone this is. Like, what keypad of a phone is this? I'm not sure what model it is.
Oh, it's got to be some old variant, maybe a unique one. But either way, it just uses some images and some easy to edit text data. No, not text data. some easy to edit info data. Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. And then to keep this on the subject of Rockman, are there some exclusive, easy, aptly Java Rockman games that we're still trying to look for?
I think that the Phantom Network Battlers Tower is the only one right now that I know of. Because all the
Java.
other ones that are released only on the Easy Web service, they're all released on the Docomo iMode service, to my knowledge.
There are still other at this point, in terms of what's really nice is that for Docomo phones, companies such as Panasonic, NEC, Mitsubishi, Fujitsu. Yeah, those are the 4 current company phones that can have most of their phones be preserved. Most phones so far, Sharp, LG, Motorola are still the ones that don't exactly work yet. Sharp is the hardest one from what I've been seeing, or at least more difficult to figure out, because there are some Ace Attorney games, and I think this Ace Attorney game is unique. I'm not.
Ace Attorney game?
Wait, is
Oh,
it
yeah,
the original?
It looks original. I'll have to do some more
I don't
research.
know.
But
It might be Ace Attorney 4, and then it's preloaded. At least that's what I remember.
Oh, interesting.
I could be. Well, yeah, and Sony Ericsson, because there's a Monkey Ball game out there that I would like to get my hands on. And that's one more. Oh, Devil May Cry, and Monster Hunter. Yeah, there you go. Those were 2 other games. Those are ones I would love to see get played. Mainly Monster Hunter, because Cosmo has dealt with trying to see how far he could get in the preloaded version of Monster Hunter. And yes, imagine Monster Hunter on a flip phone, because that's interesting.
That is.
Yeah, it's called Monster Hunter I. Yeah,
and
it's totally original.
And it is a 3D game. It is an actual 3D game, which is really cool, and I would love to get the... There was another one, too, for Monster Hunter. Not the one you have, Cosmo, but there was another one someone keeps constantly asking about.
Yeah, I think it's called Monster Hunter Mobile. But yeah, the problem with that preloaded version of that unique Monster Hunter game is, like, you can buy weapons using Zenny, but you need network connection to switch weapons. Like, literally, like, if you try to switch a weapon, it says you need network connection, and then you can't do anything.
But let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Do we need network connection to download the items, or do we need network connection to modify something in the list that says, okay, yeah, you can do this? I mean, after all I'm seeing with some games getting modified and preserved, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we do have the data just locked. Like, even one of our another Discord user went and did into Final Fantasy IV the After Years and was able to unlock Chapter 1. Someone else went and showed that we didn't have just 3 chapters of Fam Network. We had all the chapters, etc. So if anything, it could go either way until proof shows us otherwise.
All right.
Yeah, and then we also got that Devil May Cry game as well. That was also... Yeah.
But that one is unique to the story.
Yeah, that one looked original.
I wanna.
And it controls super well too.
Oh, and then another game. I'm just starting to remember the games we dumped is Gundam Online.
Oh yeah,
that's another interesting game, especially for Java.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like virtual on. I guess that's the closest equivalent, and it runs really well, like a weirdly high frame rate. It's kind of like it looks like a PSP game, and it's made for the Gundam on a flip phone. Yeah, it's like it's 3D. It's like a 3D shooter, as I said, kind of like virtual on, and it's made for the phones that have horizontal screens. So basically, there's some phones where you open them up and you can rotate the screen sideways so it's horizontal, or you can open the phone kind of like a not the typical clamshell way, but like the other way, so that like the phone keypad looks kind of like a gamepad.
And to anyone out, any Gundam fans out there, there are also more other exclusive Gundam games for SoftBank phones and Vodafone.
Yeah, so there are a lot of those variations of that Gundam game, and we were able to get a few variations dumped. So yeah, just yeah, as you can
And
see, just fight just all this games just being dumped around, not just these Mega Man games, and
Yeah.
that's why you can see why it's just like I started out with Mega Man, but now it's just like it's a much bigger world than I would have thought.
Yeah,
You know,
East,
it's like where that pioneering really starts to pay off. Like, once you figure out how to dump these games, now there's so many more games that you can dump.
yeah, exactly.
it's nice now that when you go on and you buy the Dokuma phones, that you at least know you have a high chance of being able to at least play them in some way.
Gundam
Gundam Wing.
Wing. I I,
What
I I think it's the original Gundam series, like the very first one. I think it's based off of.
there's yeah, there's so much. Like occasionally once in a while I get Famitsu magazines and I search for the ones released during 2004 to 4, 5 and 6 because that's when cell phone gaming in Japan like really peaked like really high. And those ones end up having information like on a 2D Metal Gear Solid brew game that I had no idea existed. And there was another one too. East. East
Oh
had
yeah,
some
East.
spin-offs, which I actually do want to go and find and play because they look really incredible.
It is kind of incredible. You could play like full on RPGs on a flip phone.
Oh, here's some motivations that for the SoftBank phones out there, if they're made by Panasonic, they have an easier chance of getting their games preserved. A somewhat easier chance. And the SoftBank games have been added to JLMod. Well, as in JLMod supports some SoftBank games, so you can at least play them on Android. SoftBank games are basically MIDP 2.0, but with some different API. Oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid. Oh yeah, there's even a 3D flip phone game that I believe Craze was able to get off a phone.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid. It's like, how in the world they put that on a flip phone? I'm not even gonna ask.
My
Because
gosh.
yeah, because there's actually an interesting tidbit about how they program for these phones, how they're able to fit some data. Because when we first dumped Dirge of Cerberus Lost Episode, the 3D well, it used to be lost, now the demo's been found, Final Fantasy VII game. Um, like it was weird because when we first booted it up, the game asked like, "Oh, please give us like image number 1 or something like that. Please give us image number 2." And we were like, "Why are they asking for images? Like, images are not in the game. Like, there are no photos in the game." And it turns out that they they use something where they basically put the game files inside like GIF files. So they're not really GIFs. They're actually game files inside the GIF files, which is extremely weird, but it's like that's how they're able to fit all the data on the phones. They're able to disguise the data. So yeah, that's one thing, that they're able to do to put so much data on these phones. But I think with the Battle Network games, they were able to make it fit. And same thing for Five Islands. They didn't have to use any kind of crazy methods like that.
Hey, what else? 'Cause there's a lot.
By the way, if you hear any jingling, that's my cat. Mr. Hobo's
Oh,
here with us today.
That's
He
alright.
just jumped on my keyboard. Thankfully he didn't turn off the stream this time.
Oh, that's good.
They actually did that before.
What kind of a cat?
Oh wow.
He's like a domestic short hair tuxedo cat.
Ooh,
Oh.
okay.
A bit of a fat boy, but we're working on losing weight.
Remind me, the person who made not Monster Hunter. Devil May Cry. I feel like the person who worked on the Bayonetta series, are those two connected? Who made a Devil May Cry? I forget.
You mean the mobile game?
No, just Devil May Cry, like the game itself, like
Capcom?
or who the lead one? Yeah, Capcom. Don't know why I was thinking of oh, there you go. Hideki Kamiya. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I was thinking to myself, Hideki Kamiya will block you for anything. Imagine if he ever finds out that his flip phone of a Devil May Cry game get released. I really wonder what their opinions are on these games. Like, oh, that's cool, you have one of my games, because I've spoken to someone who developed he was with the Square Enix team and was working on when they were porting the mobile games from Japan to the US. And he was really happy that people were preserving the flip phone games. He even told me why Before Crisis didn't come to overseas. Yeah, he always blocking everyone on Twitter for calling him out. I'll call him out and say, hey, why'd you abandon this really well-made game? He's probably gonna tell me that it's a crappy Java game, but I'm okay. That's okay. Hey, yeah, go ahead, block me. Because when Capcom says, hey, who dumped our games? Oh, I don't know, I blocked the person. Go ahead, you can't block me now. I wouldn't mind getting blocked.
Never thought I'd see the day Mega Man X play a tennis match. Yeah, is this the first time they met, like, in game before, like, officially? Is this the first time?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
The only other one I could think of besides Dive is, like, crossover, in a way.
Yeah. And this was before crossover.
Yeah.
This is interesting. I like this little tennis game.
It's good. It's got a weird amount of depth to it too. you got like special moves and like, see, there you go, boom, special move, go Mega Man, good.
He sucks.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, but some of the other characters have some special moves that are kind of cheating. Like as you might have seen, Shadow Man, he splits the ball into two, and then like the fake ball disappears at the last minute. Come on, man, that's cheating at that point, you know. Although Mario Tennis also has chain chomp with the tennis racket, which is questionable as well. So I won't ask any questions.
I cannot imagine coding a game like this. But still, it's cool. For that.
Yeah, but I feel like we've answered most of the questions. It seems like
we've answered.
The audience as well has also
pretty much all
exhausted their questions at the moment.
To my knowledge, yeah. Who knows what we saw what happened by the end of 2023. Who knows what we'll be accomplishing by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Mainly with everything that's going on.
Yeah, it was like the beginning of this year, you guys got like a big boost in momentum. So, like you guys mentioned earlier, it's gonna be like a waterfall. For this year.
God. It was on December 25th when all the games were getting dumped. We were getting spoiled, like day after day. Games were getting dumped, and as soon as we thought we were done, people were just like, okay, that's good and all. Now here's my collection. And everyone just had their eyes on the chat like, what? Melee. One of the best moments I had was just when we got informed that the P06C was dumped, had its contents read, because we were just basically about to embark on a full-fledged game, which was really nice. I cannot tell you how good that felt. But if anything, overall, I'm glad that if anyone does want to help with video game preservation, and if you don't have as much, well, if you don't really need as much like over complicated tech skills to help out in preservation. And at this point, you could just buy a phone that's on the supported KT dumper list and hope for the best. Heck, one of the Discord users just bought a random phone lot of like phones, and they didn't know what they were getting, and they ended up getting a game like Final Fantasy IV, Kamen Rider, Ultraman. I know those are some different obscure games, but those are very rare ones you don't even really hear as much about. For any Toku fans out there. And then we find what is it? Kamen Rider? Yeah, it's a Kamen Rider game. I don't know what it is exactly because the websites and links that talk about these IMO games, they're slowly disappearing. They're very hard to find. Castlevania Resurrection. I don't know what that is. Is there anything you guys want to discuss next?
Well, you guys
Or any
think...
burning questions?
Yeah, we can take some last questions.
Mega Man soccer game,
Yeah,
but better.
that would be nice. Okay, I do have a question. It's a bit unrelated. Maybe in some ways related. I don't know. But, it's the biggest controversy on the block right now. Capcom's been adding the Enigma protection to all their Steam games. A bunch of stuff going on. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Wow, hitting us with the breaking news, huh?
Yeah.
I got an even bigger one too.
Well, I guess to answer that, well, truth be told, I actually don't. I actually haven't been really up to date with that. I heard about it. I saw on social media like today and something about it having some kind of a virus, but honestly, I haven't looked at it. Oh, that's actually a misconception?
Yeah, I was actually talking about Rockman HQ today. But Prof 9 did a scan of his Mega Man games and he didn't find any malware because they've had Enigma protection on it for a long time now. It's been like a couple months. But they just recently started adding it to all these other games. But as far as I know, there's no actual evidence that there is malware on the Capcom games. But there's his Twitter account. Let's see if I can find the actual name. It's called PC Focus. He was reporting on Twitter X that to be careful. There's these Enigma protection games that have been known to have malware. But if you look at the screenshot, it's actually from this hentai game that was uploaded in November 2023, and that's the one that he shows that has malware on it. But from what we've seen so far, the Capcom games themselves do not have anything.
I see.
But so basically, he's making a leap in logic that because this hentai game has malware, surely the Capcom games do too now, which is not correct.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a bit of a step.
That's hilarious though. It has a freaking hentai game and it has malware.
Yeah. It seems to be some big misinformation to get clicks, basically, forum interaction.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I could just see this making it way harder for modders, I guess, to do stuff with the games. But I have yet to really looked at all the everything in detail. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing a lot of people talking about, though. And of course, now that I know that the malware thing is not true after all, then a lot of the discourse I'm seeing just turns out to be over not much then. Because yeah, a lot of people are just talking about the virus. That's all I'm seeing, But it turns out that's not the case with it, which is good. I'm glad that there's no malware on this, because if there was, then yeah, we've got a little bit of a problem on our hands.
Yeah.
But
we probably need to test more games, but I know at least the Mega Man games are fine.
That's good. All right, give me more Mega Man hot takes.
But yeah, it does suck from a modding perspective. But it doesn't mean like it's impossible to mod now. It's just gonna take more work. Like Prof9 and the guys at Trez have already figured out how to circumvent the protection to keep their mods alive. So that's good at least.
Cool. So, let's see. Mods do love the challenge. Yes, they do love the challenge.
It's kind of the thing. Like no matter how hard some companies may try to like prevent modding and stuff like that, people are always gonna find a way. It's only a matter of time.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Honestly, me and TGP have a theory. Maybe it's not much of a theory. Probably true, honestly, but this seems to have all started after they ran a Street Fighter tournament and someone accidentally had the Chun-Li nude on. Like a Chun-Li nude mod. They accidentally showed it on the stream. So it seems like ever since that happened, Capcom has been like, no mods. They started copyright claiming people's videos using mods and things like that. Like they're really pissed about it.
Well, I can see why they'd be mad about that, because I've seen some people hold one little mistake over another game. Like for example, with the whole Star Wars Battlefront 2 dice thing, when they pulled that whole loot box gambling BS. I know some people to this day who still won't play it just because of that, even though the game to this day is decent and doesn't have those problems anymore. So I can see if that's why they're doing it. Because I know some people who just, for some reason, they love to hold or look for any little problem or problem and say, oh yeah, that's why I don't play it, even if it's not an issue anymore. But I've been hearing about the whole Capcom modding thing. But how far are they taking it to the people? Like, are they trying to sue modders?
I haven't seen any lawsuits per se, but I've seen some channels. Like there's this Monster Hunter speedrunning channel that's not even in the US, by the way, but they got like some of their videos taken down from Capcom themselves, basically because they actually do use mods for their speedruns to like help keep the RNG consistent, because if they didn't use the mods, our speedruns would be like the most boring thing on earth.
But here's the thing though, Capcom should not be focused too much on the modding. What they should be focused on is the recent mod chip or flash card that recently got released.
It's true.
For Switch. That one is...
That's the thing.
It is real. Oh, have you seen it?
I
for
have
the
seen
Nintendo
it.
Switch?
Yeah.
I can't believe we're finally there. But it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. So far all the flash card can do is like, you know, you load games on it and you have to like press a button to like switch the games. So it's not like a whole interface or anything just yet, but who knows what the future holds.
Definitely.
And people have been pointing out things like even if you do get the flash card, Nintendo has ways to detect if the ROM that you're loading is like a fake one or a not genuine one, because all the individual downloads have like their IDs assigned to them in layman's terms.
Because I've been studying cybersecurity for a little bit and learning how to program and everything, and it still makes me wonder about all the information or knowledge you have to know to be able to do all that type of stuff. I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
It's amazing people to do that.
So it seems like, you know, even though you could technically use the flash card on a genuine Switch, like a non-modded one, unless you're using your own like personal backups, if you're just like downloading stuff off the internet and using it like that, good chance that Nintendo can still ban your console.
Okay. Because like the only games I really want to play are the ones from G mode.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another one, all the talk about the Switch 2. You guys think it's actually coming out this year?
Maybe. It's possible.
I don't know. It depends on when Thousand Year Door comes out. Because if that comes out like summer, I mean, why in the world would you release why would you release Switch 2 in the fall? That's gonna kill the performance of that game. I think they're gonna announce it probably maybe summer, maybe at the earliest. You know, maybe fall.
Probably fall.
And then they're gonna release it like the spring next year. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but if it's coming out like in spring, we know about it already.
Yeah, exactly. That Game Shark, whatever that was, yeah, it's garbage. I mean, why would Nintendo tell Game Shark the release date ahead of time?
Yeah, I think
you don't want to be buddy with Game Shark or AI Shark. You know, I think they were guessing, weren't they?
Yeah, it seems like they're just guessing based off of a rumor or what somebody told them. But I don't think it's legit.
Yeah. Yeah, only time will tell, exactly. Yeah. I think it's time, you know. The Switch it's had a nice long life, and now we're gonna see Nintendo can follow it up. But yeah, Wii U will always have a special place in my heart, nonetheless.
So hope they don't pull a Wii U, be like, oh, here's the Switch U or something. It's a Switch S. Oh,
no,
and mom and pop thinks, oh, it's just an add-on for the Switch.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch more. I don't know.
The new Nintendo Switch.
Oh no. Why do I feel like that's a possibility? I don't know why. I feel like that's a possibility. Nintendo
Honestly,
Switch.
yeah.
Super duper Nintendo Switch.
I could just imagine the poor GameStop employees having to explain to mom and dad, what do you mean I can't play this game on my old Switch? I have to get the new Switch?
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard when you have that much success. It's like, where do you go from here? How can you do anything better than the Switch at the moment? And if you follow it up, can you differentiate enough from the Switch? Or are you gonna trust that people are just gonna say, all right, upgrade Switch? You know, because it's like they already got a player base of how many millions of people on the original Switch. That's why I say there's no way that it's gonna be like not backwards compatible with the original Switch.
Honestly,
there's no way.
If it's not backwards compatible, what's even the point?
True.
Yeah.
Because if you think about when it came to like jumping from the Wii U to the Switch, there was a big change in what the Switch can do. And also with Nintendo's little very abandoning mindset about the whole, you know, what was it? Backwards compatibility. I hope they do implement it into the Switch too. Like, give us more reasons to go spend how much most likely $300 for this thing at the very least. At least I'm just speculating. I have not been following up on the Switch, to be honest. I have been more focused on the with everyone just going out and buying these phones and just dumping the games left and right.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of funny. Like all the time that we're preserving these games, it's like I've had less time to play video games than ever before.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like in general, like there's so little time I get to play games to myself. That's not on a live stream or anything. Sucks.
Yeah. Such is adulting, I guess.
Such is adulting. Yeah, you nailed it. But going back to the Switch 2, probably my biggest want with that would be just one, backwards compatibility, and two, like actual performance improvements to those existing old Switch games, because there's a lot of games, like the one that comes up in my head is Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. That game runs really rough on the original hardware. It'd be nice to see like a performance boost on like an upgraded hardware.
Yeah, or like Bowser's Fury, like that also tanks. Well, even when it's docked, it also has some frame rate drops.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I feel like all those are gonna get some kind of a performance update on a new console. It wouldn't make sense otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or I don't know, man, just kind of strange when you think about it. Like how long the Switch has been around, and it's like how long it's just like some of the games are just Wii U games, right? Like Mario Kart 8. Like I mean, imagine if I told you back in 2014 that in 2024 we would not have another Mario Kart game. It would just be Mario Kart 8. You know? So it's like they've rode the wave really far, and I'm really curious, how are they gonna? I mean, they've probably been talking about this for eons now, and like, how are we gonna follow this up? So I'm sure they're not gonna be haphazard about it.
I think I did see an interview about how Nintendo's like really scared about how they're gonna follow up the Wii U, or follow up the Switch. I mean, because they've learned from like the Wii U, and like past failures. Like GameCube didn't do too hot either. So they noticed a cycle that like every other console they release is either a failure or a success. Because like you had the Super Nintendo was pretty good, Nintendo 64 and GameCube wasn't too hot. They came out with a Wii, had like a that motion control gimmick. It sold like hotcakes. Wii U. And now they're got the Switch, and now they're back on top. So yeah, it seems like they're really scared.
From what I remembered when I was listening to the rumors of the Wii U, I'm very sure that what they described as the Wii U was very similar to what the Switch is now.
Yeah, I definitely see the Wii U as like a prototype Switch.
Yeah. I don't have a TV, that's why.
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah, it's everything that the Wii U wanted to be. The Switch, like now you don't have to think about being 10 feet away from the console.
Yeah.
You just bring it anywhere you go.
That was the whole point. Yeah.
You want to know something interesting? Is that someone just made me remember is that there is a Dragon Quest game that you would have to connect to your PS1 to get exclusive monsters or these exclusive items.
Wait, so you connect your phone to the PS1?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there are some add-ons like that. Yeah, mobile phone adapter, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I believe it.
There's even some where it's like you could connect your phones to the DS and whatnot. Sort of like Pocket Station. I guess so. To be honest, the documentation, even the people who do have like scans, magazines, or information on these old phones and games and stuff, they're in the hands of people who just, for whatever reason, they don't want to share it. I mean, it's like one thing, like if you let's say you have like important documentation from Nintendo that you don't want to leak, that's understandable. But if it's like a brochure from like Tokyo Game Show 2006, you don't want to share it because you're afraid of getting copyright strike or whatever, that's kind of bizarre.
There's also people that are just like against copyright infringement in general.
Oh, I am aware. I've heard of the story about how I think Proto Dude or something had some interaction with the Capo Fun guy or something.
Capo-kun or something like that.
Yeah.
He blocked me too, by the way. I never even interacted with him before.
He can block me. I'm okay with it. Actually, I blocked him, so. I mean, I'm not to be mean here, but when your opinion...
Oh, man, I just checked Twitter. He just blocked me.
He did?
He just blocked you?
No, not just. I mean, it's funny because like I was thinking about this like
I
a
wanted to
while
block
back.
by
It was about a year ago. I checked, and it wasn't that way. Oh, I had a good streak. It's all right.
Oh, so we're seeing how long we can go without getting blocked by him.
It is what it is. I've moved on at this point.
Yeah, I was like, I never talked to him before, but I probably got blocked because I'm friends with Proto Dude, and I've also been advocating for preservation. But as people, I know, especially in his case, like he sees it as stealing from Capcom, basically. that's why he's against it.
But how can you steal from someone who doesn't supply anymore?
Yeah, that's my take on it. Is like if they're not supplying it anymore, like you know, it's a free for all now. Like, who cares? They're not making money from it.
People love to do block challenges. I have seen it. I've seen it.
Especially with Kamiya.
I wonder how fast I could get blocked with that Dokimo phone comment. Your game is just as good as this. Why can't your games be like this? Oh, that'd be a good one. Oh, I should not be doing this. Some people block by using scripts or bots with specific word chains or word chains from people you follow. Ah. Nice.
But yeah, you know, like with these feature phone games, they're delisted. Like, there's a good chance we'll never see any of these ever again, aside from like, you know, from what Scilab Secrets and other teams are doing. So, whatever. Like, but you know,
same here. No, go on. I'm agreeing with you.
If they ever do port these games one day, then shoot, like go support the official release, give them your money for what you're playing. Like, we 100% want you guys to do that, but since they don't seem to want to give us that opportunity, oh well.
Yeah, because I'm all for supporting the developer if I can, but there's no, like, at most likely this point, it's gonna, I hope I'm wrong on this, it's most likely gonna be years until we ever see Phantom Network on Switch or anything. And some people just have this, oh, just wait, you'll get it mentality. It's like, I really highly doubt that we're gonna get them anytime soon. And we could tell by the way these companies are releasing, like, by the way they're jumping to gacha games and the way their mindset is. That's one of the reasons why I'm confident in doing this stuff, because I know that the companies don't care and that they just don't care.
It's also like these games too. It's like preserving these games, the Battle Network games, Mega Man games on these flip phones. This isn't just about these, and it's about like all the other thousands of flip phone games that are lost to time. The progress made here, as I said before, benefits all the other flip phone games. So it's like, you know, it's just, this is benefiting game preservation at large, and that's how I see it. You know, and as Naoya said, if they ever do re-release these, 100% go buy them. But this is also for game preservation's sake, because I mean, Capcom might release the Phantom Network, Legend of Network, but will Sonic Daifugo ever be re-released? Will Nose Hair Expert ever be re-released? Will Dance Dance Revolution, these flip phones, ever be re-released? Probably not. You know, these are thousands of games. There's a giant ecosystem that's lost forever. So it's just, you know, I've basically, I'm whipping a dead horse at this point. But it's like, you know, it's all for game preservation's sake. You know, it's not like I'm a pirate.
I'll throw in something else too, is the fact that one, we don't, when it comes to sometimes we're not even in a position to even purchase the games at all in general. That, and we don't really have a control in when we find out about the games. And sadly, we just get put into situations where we can't even buy them if we want to. Like someone like me who wanted Before Crisis, but when it was in service, I didn't have I didn't know that I could go get it, nor did I even know it existed. So that's one of the reasons why I like preservations, because I can help give people a chance to experience something that they missed out on. And I do understand that not every person in Japan is like, they're not entitled to give you their games, but I do believe that we should all at least be given a chance to experience the games, or to, you know, buy and purchase and play them. Because to take that away from someone based on where they are or what and how old they are and stuff like that, things that we are not in control, that's just not fair. These are quality games too.
I guess with that, I feel like we've gone through. I think we got through all the questions.
Yeah, you do say that we're whipping a dead horse, and we are. Sometimes it feels like we're not whipping the horse enough because this topic still keeps coming up every other day on Twitter, or any other social media platform for that matter. Like, did you guys see?
Yes, I did see your post. I saw your post. What are you talking about?
Okay, so there's this like user that was like kind of farming interactions, I guess, but they posted this image that says, emulation equals piracy.
Oh yes.
He said, what are you guys' thoughts on this? And a lot of people were giving their opinions on that, including me.
I saw, yes. Here we are, yes. Yes, this one. Oh, that's how you end 2023. Oh yeah, with this as well. Here's my counter argument. Shows like Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green, $100, $200.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bait.
It worked.
I got people talking. That's for sure.
This person, me AF, and it's a picture of him as a pirate with a bunch of like treasure near him.
I guess I like to end off this little segment like piracy or preservation things. I want to end off with a quote from Hygo in an interview at Rockman Corner. I like to bring this one up a lot. I'm gonna post it in the chat for anyone who wants to read the actual thing. But here's what he had to say, because he actually lives in Japan. Like he works and lives there, so he's got insight in like the Japanese community.
Let's see here.
But I'm gonna read what he says at the very end. He says, "I don't think it'll end in a single sentence, so please excuse me for that. As you already assume, I appreciate you guys a lot." He's talking about Rockman Corner. If the current Japanese status continues, I'm afraid that the culture of Rockman in Japan will eventually decay. Why? Because they don't think of making an archive of the culture. They think that Capcom will eventually do that. But the reality is different. Apart from me, nowadays, content creators or content makers have the habit of reading Wikipedia too. So the precision at which the culture remains is up to the activities of the fans. The overseas fans have contributed a lot to achieving that, so I think that if this forum keeps on, it'll be preserved for the future. However, the current state of Rockman in Japan is complicated. I fear that the Japanese Rockman culture will be lost, since the creator intent is what stands out at the utmost. I guess everyone thinks that you only need to remember it for yourself, in quotations. That's already stepped up to a stage in which that won't suffice, and that a way to preserve the works for the future generations is needed. I hope someone can provide advice on what can be done to achieve that. Yeah, that's what he had to say.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, he basically nailed it on the head.
Oh, he did. Yes, That's another main reason, motivation for why I do this type of stuff, is because of that. I cannot wait that long, and also it's like even with Kingdom Hearts source code, that found out to be like deleted or whatever. It's just there's a lot there, but I agree with that. I agree with what he says there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff.
It is very crazy. I can't. It's one thing. It's one thing if the game's in service being sold by the actual company, but when it's something that it's most likely to never be played again, never to be most likely brought in its original form, what makes you think the amount of waiting is gonna help solve the problem? this is one of the problems I have when it comes to finding before Crisis.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Heiko's words really do make me think, though, like about how it probably is like mostly a cultural thing. Like when he says that a lot of them seem to think that it's all right as long as you remember it for yourself. But what about everybody else? You know, it's not just about preserving the games themselves. It's about preserving the culture, like he said. Like actually, like how the fandom was back in that time period. There's a lot of that stuff that gets lost over time, even over here in the United States.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, Mr. Obo.
It's only best if you remember it. Can't remember something you never played. But no, I just say I played Phantom Network. I like that achievement.
I'm surprised your cat's not named Tango.
Unfortunately, I didn't name this one. I adopted him.
Aw.
We did have a chance with our first cat, Peanut, but my wife named him. Or, I named her. Sorry, Peanut's a girl.
Yeah, if I ever get a cat, probably gonna name it Tango. I don't know. I just feel like I'm obligated to at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is there anything else to discuss?
I think we've covered most
You know-
topics.
You know what? If anything, one thing I can end with is to anyone out there, whether it's Rockman or whatever game it used to be on I mode. There, like if you follow the steps in Rockman's documentation on how to preserve the games, and if you get the phone from Bai Japan or however you acquire it, you can have a chance of helping out with preservation. I just want to end on that because I don't have all the money in the world to get all the games. And also finding the games are hard. But if anything, it's nice that others can help preserve games as well.
Sure.
I'll end on that.
I think here, yeah, it's time to wrap it up, and I guess we'll end off like, what do you guys hope to achieve this year? I know like there's a lot that can happen, but I guess like what's the number one thing you want to have happen within 2024?
Nah, you can go first.
You know what? I'm gonna put two things I want. One, I want to be able to play Phantom Network, Legend Network on my Android flip phone, and two, I want to be able to have at least some of Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII playable for the Final Fantasy fans. I would love for that to happen.
Yeah, and for me, it's just preserving 5 islands. I think like all the chapters. I really want there just to be, you know, the whole game there, all in one place, all I can play on the emulator. Because yeah, I'm a big Legends guy, as it's probably obvious by now. So I just want to play that full game. You know, the 5th chapter is nice, but I want to play that full thing. So
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the main thing. And of course, Battler's Tower, preserving that. I also want to play that as well. So a lot of stuff to look forward to, but 5 islands for me personally, I want to see that.
Yeah.
Phantom Network, from what I've heard, has some type of connection where I just realized I was about to spoil something. Never mind. But it's a multiplayer thing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to all that. You know, seeing like 5 islands get fully preserved, and looking forward to like what Trez is able to do with the EXE translations in the future. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but I'll definitely be keeping my eye on the progress on that and everything else you guys are doing. I just want to say, you know, on behalf of everybody in the community, like, thank you very much for all that you're doing. Like, you guys are literal legends. And
Legends of Network.
Legends of Network. There you go.
I mean, hey, with the view of piracy in Japan and everything, we're more like Phantoms of Network, if you know what I mean.
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, we got blocked by the Capricorn guy, so now we are Phantoms technically.
True.
We could go on.
But you know, sincerely though, like, thank you for like doing all this work. I know it's been like a long time in the making, but it's really exciting that a lot of these games are starting to get preserved now, and definitely looking forward to more people getting their hands on these games and trying them for the first time.
Including yourself. I'm gonna be there for that live stream.
Yeah, I definitely want to
I'll make time
stream these pretty soon. Hopefully I can make time for it.
Yeah, just get ready to use Google Translate camera for the EXE games.
Yeah,
until,
I did see
proper
people.
translation comes.
I did see people doing that.
Yeah.
Wonder if there's a way to.
Thanks to everybody though. Thanks to everyone who showed up in the chat here. Yeah, really appreciate it. Appreciate
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for the questions.
Yeah, means a lot.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a way to mirror my phone to the stream so that people can see me Google translating. I'll look into that. But in the meantime, yeah, thank you guys for coming on the show and talking, hanging out for a bit. It's always appreciated. And yeah,
no worries.
And those of you in chat, thank you for joining us tonight. And you know, anyone that watches this after the fact on YouTube, as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Till then, rock on.